All right, thank y'all for joining us today. As I said earlier, this is Gabrielle speaking, and I also have Megan Lindsay with me.
Hi, everyone.
For those just joining us, please feel free to use your control panel if you have any questions. Throughout the webinar, you will be on mute, but at the end of the webinar, we are going to be addressing any questions that you have. So if you do have a question, please feel free to use the questions panel or the chat bar in your control panel for GoToWebinar. And we will make sure to address everyone's questions at the end. We're also going to be recording today's webinar, so you'll have the ability to review it, the actual live presentation after. It will be posted to our YouTube channel, so please feel free to check it out after. All right, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Megan Lindsay, one of our senior account managers at Search Influence, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself before we get started.
Yeah, so as Gab mentioned, I'm a senior account manager here at Search Influence. I've been here since 2011, so I've spent the last 6 years here in online marketing, specializing in SEO, and I'm Google AdWords certified.
And if you are just joining our webinar series for Search Influence University, and this is your first time, air quotes, meeting me, my name is Gabrielle Benedetto, and I am the Sales and Partner Strategist here at Search Influence. I've been here a little over 5 years. Not only do I specialize in SEO, but I am leading our team in creating those SEO and digital marketing strategies for all of the businesses that we work with. I've been here since 2012, and I am Search Influence's full-time DJ. Every Friday at 5 o'clock, I start playing music for our team and get us all really hyped up and excited about the weekend. So let's talk about social media. We know what it is, but why is it really important? Why is it really worth your time as a small business owner? I worked in a retail boutique in Uptown New Orleans throughout high school and college, and now here at Search Influence, I work with businesses all across the country to promote their brands on social media. So I have absolutely felt the struggles that some of you feel in being a small business owner, and I can actually see firsthand with the campaigns that we're running here at Search Influence how social media really does help run and even grow businesses. I know many of you are thinking, well, how can I do it all? How can I post to every single social media platform that's out there? It takes way too long. I have so many other things on my plate. Today, what we're going to talk about is really focusing your social media efforts. The good news is that on social media, you don't have to be everywhere to everyone. You don't have to be on every single platform if your audience is not on those platforms. So what we're really going to be doing today is making sure that you're making the most of your time and making sure you're focusing your efforts. Why is social media something that you should invest in? Why is it worth your time? We know that simply having a website isn't enough to grow your customer base. If your audience isn't coming to you, then you need to make it a priority to go to them to make sure that you're actually getting your brand and your message in front of your audience. So where is your audience? Almost all of them are on social media. 1/3 of the entire world uses social media regularly, and 44% of small business owners say that Facebook drives customers to their site. But we can't just go out on social platforms and start promoting your business. You really need to make it a point to take it a step further and make sure that you are engaging with your customers and not just self-promoting constantly. Today, the most popular social media platforms, including Facebook, have become really big giants in the marketing industry. You know that your customers are using social media, and they're actually providing a lot of information and data about themselves to you, which as marketers and even small business owners, if you're going to be running your own social media campaigns, is really helpful for us to specifically target your audience and make sure that we are getting your message in front of your audience. 90% of all marketers indicate that their social media efforts have generated more exposure for their businesses. And not only can we help with brand awareness and making sure that your audience knows who you are and knows the unique products and services that you offer, but using social media, or marketers that have said that using social media for at least 2 years, so that it actually has helped improve their sales. As you can see, the majority and the most popular social media platform here is Facebook, with 79% of adults online being on Facebook. So that's really going to be the primary platform that we're going to be focusing on today, but making sure that you have an understanding of where your audience is on each of these platforms will absolutely help grow your business and specifically target your audience on each platform. So I want you to start thinking of Facebook as a lot more than just a social media platform. If you aren't actively engaging with your audience or even promoting your brand on social media, chances are that one of your competitors already are doing that for you. And social media does provide a platform for you to stay present and on top of the minds of your customers. So consider that and keep that in mind whenever you want to make sure that your brand is actively on these platforms. 1 in 4 business owners say that social media is responsible for customer retention. Again, this platform is just there for you to continue to remain present and top of mind for your customers, so make sure that you are taking advantage of this. Earlier, I said 1/3 of the world is regularly using social media, but specifically in 2016, 2.3 billion people were on social platforms. So we know that they're there, but what are they actually doing on all these different social networks? In 2016, we liked 350 million pictures on Facebook, probably of dogs, food, sunsets, cocktails, in New Orleans at least. There were 4 million likes on Facebook every single minute. We, as Americans, uploaded 72 hours of videos to YouTube every minute too. And we even shared 8,000 photos on Snapchat. Hopefully, well, at least with me, I know that I put the pretty filter or even the flower crown on all those photos that I put on Snapchat. But together, we spent more time on social medias than we actually did driving to work or even washing clothes or even reading the newspaper, which basically tells us that as a society, we are more present and very active on these social platforms. We're learning so much already. But as great as these numbers are, you likely wouldn't be here if you already had the magic bullet to running an optimized social media campaign that allowed you to gain and retain new customers. And trust me, you're not alone. Only 34% of businesses feel like they have some kind of return from their social media investment. Well, we want to change that today. We want to walk you through how you can have a very effective and profitable social media campaign. Yes, you do need to be on social, but we really want to be smart about it. So today, as we walk through some of these tips and tricks and strategies that we're going to be going over to make sure that social media can fit into your fabulously busy life and even beyond that, really want to start here and let you know, let's be smart about it. And what do I mean by being smart about it? First, we want to be specific. So your goal should really communicate why you're on this platform, who you are to your audience, and where is your audience. So where do you actually want your brand to be placed? Why it's important, who's involved, and where it's going to happen, meaning which social platform. Also make sure that these campaigns that we're running, it's measurable. Your goal should have some kind of concrete metric for you to be able to gauge success, whether that's you having a better understanding of the number of clicks, maybe the impressions, or the number of new fans that you were able to generate, even down to if they're commenting and engaging with your posts, or if you want them to have more of a direct call to action. Maybe you're running a campaign so you can get more sign-ups for your events or newsletters, or even downloads to white papers or even your app, or just phone calls in general. Whatever it is, you want to make sure that your campaign has some kind of metric associated with it so that you can gauge success. Also make sure it's attainable. So your goal needs to be realistic and possible for your team as a whole to reach together. So for example, if you are an e-commerce business, maybe start by just promoting one product on social before you have this crazy and really, really extreme goal to start increasing your monthly online sales by 20%. Just start small, especially since you're going to be doing this on your own. As a small business owner, we understand that you are wearing a lot of different hats. So just start small with a realistic goal, and then from there you're able to scale up. Also make sure that your entire campaign is relevant. What I mean by this is make sure that it's specific to your business and whatever your core goals of your business are. We don't want to implement a strategy that is just for you to kind of extremely get in front of your competitor. Don't do something just because your competitor is doing it. You never know, your competitor could be in business for 10, 20 years longer than you have, or they could have double your inventory or triple your support in their team. So make sure that your strategy truly is relevant to your business. And lastly, timely. Really want to make sure that we have an expected date that you can realistically reach your goal. If you have an event coming up in October and you're really looking to increase your fan base now, that would be an attainable goal. Or if you have a really big blowout sale going on in the summer before your fall inventory comes in, making sure that you're able to step or to track different milestones throughout this campaign. And not only will help with your strategy, but it really will help with your budget overall, especially if you do want to move forward in investing in some kind of ad spend and advertising strategy, which we'll get to later in the presentation. But really making sure that you have some kind of timely goal in mind is really going to help with the overall strategy too. So just consider this. Be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Be smart.
So before we get to the first step, I want you to really think about your target customer, your buyer. Channel your target customer and think, who buys my product or service? Now, let's take that rough idea of your target customer that you just thought about and then flesh it out a little bit further. This is going to really help you to define your target market. Is the customer that you have in mind a man or a woman? Maybe both. And what's their age? Think about what their marital status is. What's their income range? Where are they located? And you're going to want to ask yourself, what makes your customer tick? So demographics are important, but key insights into what type of person they are, what they like, what they dislike, their interests, their values, and their lifestyle, all of those things are going to give you a stronger direction later for creating engaging social media content. And if you're like most small businesses, you likely don't have a professionally developed marketing strategy with personas defined for your target customers, but the great news is that these don't take a rocket scientist or even a professional marketer to create. These are, this is your customer, this is your demographic, these are the people that you're seeing coming in and purchasing items from, either purchasing from you or they're using your services. You're familiar with these people and you know them better than anyone. So just really take the time to sit there and think about who these people are and write them out. There may be several different sets of demographics. Not everyone's going to necessarily fit into one persona, but by building them out and really starting to figure out who these people are is going to help you for your strategy in the future. And we'll get into a little bit more of what that strategy would entail for if you're actually advertising on different platforms. So here's an example of a target customer profile that we built out. This is, again, like you might have multiple personas that you build out, and some might all just be one persona, and you can easily just define it as one type of person that's coming to you. But here's an example of one that we fleshed out and all the information that we would want to build out when we're thinking about who our customer profile is. So here's Mary. She's a small business owner. She's based in Oregon. She's in the retail industry. Her company size is less than 150 people, and her age range is between 29 and 35. She has a bachelor's degree. She's married. Some of her likes, she likes good customer support, and her dislikes is she dislikes social media scheduling. Heard that. So once you've put the hard work into researching your target customer and creating who your target market's going to be, it's time to choose your target network. So figuring out what social platforms are your clients frequently on, or which ones are they going to the most. This is where you're going to want to make sure that you are present and you're active and that you are maybe even putting some ad spend behind some of your efforts that you're putting out there to make sure that you're in front of your target demographic. You want to make sure that you're not necessarily putting all your eggs in one basket or spreading yourself too thin across a lot of different networks out there. You really just want to make sure that you're on the ones that make the most sense and the ones that you're going to be able to get in front of your target customer. So here's a quick breakdown of some commonly used social platforms. And as you can see, this chart is really helpful to use for, again, like I mentioned earlier, evaluating where your target demographic fits in and what social media channels that they're using the most. So you can see this chart breaks down each channel with the percentage of online females and males using that platform, what their age ranges are, and even their income level, which is really interesting to see. And as you can see, 83% of online women are on Facebook compared to just 25% of women who are on Twitter. So if that's a big demographic for you, maybe Twitter wouldn't be the place for you to be. But as you can see, most demographics fit into Facebook because, everyone's there, males, females, lots of different age ranges and different income brackets. So Facebook is really going to be used the most, and that's going to be important for all businesses. But if you want to expand, which most people do because there are a lot of other great platforms to be on and to be active on, then you're going to want to narrow it down to the ones that make the most sense for you and for your target demographic. So if the majority, for example, majority of your demographics are younger females between the ages of 18 to 29, Instagram would probably be another good fit for you to, a channel for you to be active on and even to advertise on. So you really, like I said, want to make sure you're on the right platforms for your customers.
And I know we're going to be sharing the deck after the presentation, but please feel free to even take a quick screenshot of this slide. I think it's really great, especially for small business owners, or even if you're the marketing manager or business manager for the plastic surgeon's office or even the company that you work at. I think it's really great. As Meg said, it gives you a really great idea of where your audience currently is right now. So please feel free to take a screenshot.
So if you're still not convinced on the value of social media in your marketing strategy, here's a brief recap of how far social media has come and a reminder of how important it is to leverage for your business. So as you can see, 58% of small businesses use social media. 57% of consumers say that they're influenced to think more highly of a business after seeing positive comments or praise online. 25% of marketing budgets of all companies is expected to be focusing on social media marketing in the next 5 years, and 92% of small business owners who use social media say that social media marketing is important for their business. So now that we've evaluated your target market and social media channels, it's time to bring all of this together and look at ways that you can leverage that information that you've gathered and start building your social media advertising campaign.
So to create your advertising game plan, we're going to have to rely on information that you've already gathered from your customers. And if you haven't gathered that information from your customers, that's okay. Facebook has the ability to gather all this information. You do it, I do it, your customers are doing it. We're actively giving Facebook and online, Google, different search engines, information about ourselves. Whether it's me recently liking a local business or boutique that I went into, or just liking a new running group that I joined, or even some of the bigger brands like Nike or Chanel, or local like Slap Your Mama, or even that my favorite movie is Weekend at Bernie's. Me giving all this information to Facebook is just one of the ways that companies and marketers can specifically target me based on my interests, likes, and even my local demographic, or geographic, I should say. Because they're able to collect all this information, Facebook does have the ability to get really, really granular in how we can, or how they can run campaigns specifically targeted to your market. Basically, what we really want to focus on here is being able to place our ads and getting in front of our audience, but not just any audience, that audience that is most likely or more likely to actually convert. So ads are being placed in front of our Facebook audience alongside updates from their family and their friends, which gives us an advantage because our message is very natural in their feed. People are 51% more likely to make a purchase after liking a brand on Facebook. Definitely something you want to get in front of here. If you're able to have them like your page, you can have a leg up and constantly get your message in front of them through organic posting or through ad spend as well. And since more than 700 million people visit Facebook on their mobile device, we have the ability to connect with our customers anywhere. We no longer have to wait for them to drive in front of our billboard or open the paper to see our ad or even turn on the radio to hear our advertising anymore. We have the ability to really be in the palm of their hand. I think I read something the other day that there are more more devices than there are toothbrushes in America these days.
That's a scary thought.
It's disgusting, but it's interesting, right? Like to know that there are more platforms out there that we can actually get our message in front of instead of taking care of our hygiene.
So why choose Facebook ads? As we mentioned earlier, Facebook is really, we can see that that's where most of your demographic is going to be. Everyone is there. So why don't you focus on Facebook first and then, start going out there. But just to compare, why Facebook ads are so important, the benefit of advertising with them and most other social media platforms is the ad cost, which is so much less expensive than traditional marketing. I mean, you can see just by looking here at this chart that an average cost to reach 1,000 people on Facebook is just 25 cents, as opposed to the more traditional media outlets like magazines and newspapers, over $30, over just at $20 for those two to reach 1,000 people. So I mean, it's really a no-brainer here. Facebook is going to be so much cheaper, and as we mentioned earlier, that's where everyone is. So another really great thing is that with Facebook ads, you can set a daily budget to ensure that you won't overspend for an individual ad or even an entire campaign. So ad spends can be set as low as just $5 a day. So that's really cheap. You can control it easily, turn it off and on. It's really something that is tangible for you to be able to see all that information, and at the end of the day, you're going to really just get more bang for your buck.
Do people still read the newspaper?
Online.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe people share it on Facebook and see it that way.
Magazines. But yeah, with Facebook, not only is it more cost effective, but we can also report back and let you know how your ad and how your campaign did, where you don't always get that with the traditional advertising and media like newspapers and magazines.
Right, and then you can easily make adjustments to your campaigns if you see that something's not working. You can do some A/B testing. There's just really so many things that you can do with your targeting and with making adjustments to make sure that you are reaching the most people and optimizing your money and your campaign overall.
Come so far. So we briefly discussed some of the benefits and the costs associated with advertising on Facebook, but also want to acknowledge how saturated Facebook can be for small businesses. It's not all doom and gloom, but it does bring up the point that I want you to think about the fact that you will have to pay to play, or at least if you want to be the most competitive in this industry and in your industry and on this platform, and we do recommend that you at least put some amount of your advertising budget towards advertising and paid advertising on Facebook. Think about it this way, Apple and Coke still put money towards advertising and promoting their business, and these are the top two most recognizable brands in the world. So while it's easy and it's cheap for you to be able to write content and post it naturally on your Facebook page or just post a picture on Instagram or even on LinkedIn, having some kind of dedicated promotional budget behind that is going to be the best way for you to get your message in front of your current audience and even your potential audience too. In 2017, we can expect to see an increase in ad spending by marketers worldwide. To be specific, across all social networks, this spend is expected to hit $36 billion. There are 2 million active advertisers on Facebook, with most of them being small businesses. So especially for everyone on the phone, this is right up your alley. If your small business competitors are advertising on Facebook, you need to be advertising there too. The majority of those small business owners, or 80% of them, started by paying for their post promotion and then have moved into a little bit more advanced advertising on Facebook, whether that's through display or even remarketing ads. And Megan mentioned this in the previous slide, but the average dollar amount small businesses are spending on Facebook is somewhere between $5 and $50 a day. And since since Facebook does have a minimum of $5 a day, that's right where that budget can start. So it's easy for you to have even a small dedicated budget, whether it's $100 and you can have your ad run a few times within a week, or if you want to have something a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more effective to get your message across. But it is affordable for you to be advertising on Facebook, and as we saw and Meg spoke about earlier, it's not only more cost effective, but we can reach our audience very, very specifically so we can target our message.
So moving back to our Facebook model, we should mention another benefit, the targeting abilities that are built into the platform, which is yet another way to use your target customer information and get the most out of your tight advertising budget. So as Gab mentioned earlier, Facebook is always watching. They're really aware of everything that you're doing, what you're liking, what it connects the dots of a user's photos, what their interests are, if they're checking in somewhere, their education level, their relationship status, and uses all of that information for targeting. All this information is accessible to the businesses that are advertising, and that's how they target specific people. So have you ever noticed how the ads that you see on Facebook change based on changes that you make in your life? So for example, you get engaged and then you start seeing ads for rings and wedding planning, or maybe you buy a home and then you start to see ads for home improvements or insurance. It's no coincidence. Again, fortunately for small businesses, they can use this to their advantage to reach their target demographic. So here are Facebook's 6 featured data partners, and these partners specialize in helping to find specific audiences on Facebook based on offline data from external sources. So being able to use their data helps businesses deliver ads to the people with the attributes and behaviors that they care about, and it helps them find the best audience and reach the people that they want to reach. So they've partnered with these big outside companies that have all of this data, and if you advertise on Facebook, you then have access to all of the data with these partners that Facebook has. So It's not just the information that Facebook has, based on the profiles and how people are interacting. They also have access to all of this outside data that helps for your targeting. So that's another really big thing to keep in mind.
So let's talk about ad location. This obviously will depend on what type of business you have and even what your budget is, but as you can see, Facebook does make it pretty simple for you to either cast a really, really wide net or focus on a very, very small specific area as well. So if you are a retail store or maybe even a restaurant or a bar and you want to focus on increasing foot traffic, you can specifically set your ad to target your audience within a certain radius. So in the example I have here, I'm setting it to be about 5 miles from our office, which is at 935 Gravier, New Orleans. If you're ever in New Orleans, come say hi. But you can make it very, very specific to one location, or you can make it a little bit more broad. So on the second line, you see in the example I have that I really want to focus on the entire area of New York City, focusing on about a 20-mile radius, and then I can actually input that exact location as well.
So as recently as last year, when you purchased a Facebook ad, location targeting was only based on a user's stated location, so the location that they put in their profile where they lived. And so that's how you used to be able to target people, based on what they put as their location. So as a marketer, it was extremely limiting. So for example, say I own a shoe store in New Orleans and I'm running a sale this weekend for 25% off of everything in the store. I don't want my ad to be seen by people who live in New Orleans but who might be in Atlanta for the weekend. So because of so many different scenarios like this that can come up, radius-based targeting for ads was born. So Facebook's new location options let you target people that could be living in the area, maybe they're located in the area, maybe they were recently in that location, even if they're traveling to your location. So all of these upgrades have really been a really great thing for advertisers, because this upgrade helps brick and mortar businesses driving store sales. And one thing to keep in mind is that you need to have, as a business owner, you need to have your name, address, and phone number on your Facebook page in order to take advantage of this location targeting. But it's a lot more robust than it used to be, and it helps you to target the people and where they are.
Kind of going back to what Meg was focusing on earlier, when we look at some of the partners and the data providers that Facebook has partnered with over the years, we can now target in more detail. So we can target based on your gender, your age, your education, interests that I talked about earlier, or marital status. Megan mentioned our data partners earlier, but the information that they're able to provide us is kind of scary. At the same time, not as scary and disgusting as the toothbrushes I was talking about earlier, but scary in kind of like a big brother type way. For example, you can target men based on the ages of 35 to 45 who live within 25 miles of New York City, who are interested in football, American football, and beer. Well, that sounds pretty obvious, right? They can go and like different beers, they tell you where they live, and you can tell when your birthday is on Facebook. But taking it a step further, you can actually target someone by the home type that they live in, the specific year that the home was built. You can even break it down and target the parents who actually live in that home by the parent's age, or if they're a single parent, or if they're an expecting parent, or even if they're a parent with adult children. You can even do life events or trigger life events. So if you're a flower shop and you want to specifically target someone and you know that they have an anniversary coming up, or if they're away from home, say maybe they're visiting family members in another city, or they are away from their home because they're at a funeral in another city, this is also information that you can have with the provided Googles from Facebook. You can even target down to if your audience is a new vehicle buyer or a used vehicle buyer based on the current car that they drive and the cars that they have had previously in their name. So having access to this level of information, it's so much more than just the fact that you recently liked a brand or that you checked into a store. It really gives you an opportunity to specifically target your message to people at different life trigger events throughout their entire life and how they would be involved in purchasing with your brand and your business.
So promoted posts on Facebook are another great way to drive customer growth if used correctly. They can engage with your audience directly, but make sure to follow the same method that we've been outlining and keep in mind your SMART goals.
So to wrap up, to show you a customer case study and the success that we've been able to have with a Facebook campaign, wanted to walk you through Audubon Nature Institute, and if you're not familiar with them, they are an institute down here in New Orleans. They are responsible for running and managing the Audubon Zoo, Insectarium, Aquarium. I think those are the only 3 that they have. And when they came to us a few years back, they're still an active campaign with us, but they came to us with the need of establishing their brand awareness. So the approach that we took was to have some kind of dedicated monthly budget focused on first building their fan base so that we can make sure that we can increase our post engagement and message to a larger audience. From there, we built out lookalike audiences using their existing membership contact and email lists. And then we focused on local, within about 50 miles from where they were physically located or where they are physically located. We took more of a local regional approach so to make sure that our message was really being targeting to those locally. And from there, the results of the campaign were able to drive. We saw 30,000 clicks, 25,000 new page likes, 200,000 likes on posts and engagement, and we spent about $6,600 in ad spend. So we were able to accomplish their goal of establishing their brand awareness and making sure that we continue to engage with that brand and making sure that there's some kind of call to action that we talked about earlier. As Meg said, when we are thinking about your SMART goal, make sure that you do bring it back to whatever your goal is, making sure that it's a realistic metric that you're able to hit, and it really is specific to your business.
And this was a case study that was likely over a couple of years,
yes.
Right? This
yes.
wasn't just like a month here, so obviously we weren't spending that kind of ad spend over a small period of time. We wanted to do it gradually and organically, and as we started to grow their fan base, we were able to increase post engagement a lot more once we had those people, that were on the page and able to engage with the posts that were out there. So this isn't just a short-term thing. This is probably over a couple of years span, and we're continuing to do work for Audubon.
Yes, and thank you for pointing that out. And that's why also we encourage you to start small, but see and kind of paint the vision of where you would like to end up and where you would like to see your goals go. Yes, this is something that we have been managing and optimizing over time, and we continue to do for this client as well. So that is everything that we have outlined for you today. We really appreciate you taking the time to meet with us. We're going to hang on for a few more minutes. If you do have any questions, please feel free to use the questions box or even the chat box, or even if you want to use your icon to raise your hand, we're more than happy to kind of open up the conversation to everyone. If you do have any questions, happy to listen and answer and support you if we can. All right, well, we'll hang on here a few more minutes. Still available if you have any questions. Again, please feel free to use the chat box. You also have our contact information. If you do have any questions, please feel free to email us at info@searchinfluence.com. It's at the bottom of the screen. We will be here, and we appreciate your time today. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us.
So it looks like we got a few questions in, and we'll probably just open it up so that everyone can hear our answers. And there may be some conversations that might be best to have offline, and we can definitely talk with you about your goals. But the first one that we have, it was from Christy, and she just asked Google AdWords. So I'm not exactly sure what the question was about. I know, well, it's about Google AdWords, but what specifically about? So Google AdWords is obviously another really impactful strategy. You know, we specialize here in SEO, social media, and even AdWords, paid advertising. So it just really depends on what your goals are. AdWords is a great way to promote your website and to get more traffic to your site, and you can also run specific campaigns there. But you know, this presentation was focused on social media and how to target there. AdWords is a little bit different with the targeting. You can't really get as granular with targeting with AdWords as you can with social media, which is why social media is really great, because everyone's there and you can get really granular with the types of people that you're targeting. But AdWords is very effective, and it's based on how people are searching and what people are searching for. So AdWords is another great option to drive more traffic to your site and to get more sales and more people you know, engaging with your site there. So it's a whole different type of campaign, but it is something that we do here at Search Influence. So if you have any specific questions about AdWords, we would be happy to take that offline and talk to you more about that, Christy. Thank you.
There's another question from Thomas. What is an acceptable time frame you can expect before seeing positive results from Facebook ads? I would say it would be depending on what type of ads you were running, whether they were promotional ads or even a display ad. They do have different goals. If you're running a display advertising campaign, usually the goal is to generate clicks back to your website, where post-promotion may be to just take an organic post that you had and push it to a larger market on social. So, for example, if you're trying to increase a sign-up to an event that you're having or having people actually convert some way on your website, I would recommend you using the display advertising campaign through Facebook. In terms of a timeline, it may be depending on what your budget is. It's really hard to set a dedicated time frame for something like that. A lot of, especially in the beginning of any advertising campaign, there is a lot of A/B testing to see what kind of ad copy works well, or even a landing page that works well. So I'm sorry, I can't give you a firm time frame here, but
yeah, it really just depends on your goals. I mean, if your goal is just to have maybe to get more fans on your page, that would be a fan building campaign, which would be a separate type of campaign. If your goal was to have more people engaging with your posts, as Gab mentioned, you would do post promotion and have people engaging there. But sending people to your site is a different type of campaign too. I mean, I would say as far as an acceptable time frame, it would vary, but if you just want to see more engagement and want to see more clicks to your site, more impressions, people seeing your brand out there, I would say immediately. I mean, like, you really do start to see people, you can see all of those numbers right away on the back end of Facebook in real time. You can see within a day how many people saw my ad, how many people clicked on my ad, and then based on that, you can make adjustments to improve your ad set. So time frame, again, it really depends on what your goals are, but I would say right away, right as you put money towards behind anything on Facebook, you're going to see those numbers.
Yeah, which is great for any type of paid placement in advertising, unlike SEO or a more organic campaign where it's something that you naturally are building up authority and brand mention about your business. With advertising, the second you turn that campaign on, you're going to immediately start to see clicks and impressions and traffic generate back to your website. So great question, though.
So Christy, you had the question, after an ad ends and you reach, say, 6,000 people, does that mean my ad was shown to that amount of people? So I'm assuming when you say the reach was 6,000 people, that's usually reach and impression.
So
It could mean that the 6,000 people, but it could also mean that it was seen by people multiple times. So that takes the reach takes that into consideration. If it was the same person and the ad was shown to them 5 times, then it'll count that. So
Right.
it isn't necessarily the amount of people, but it's the amount of times people saw the ad out there.
Yeah. So not necessarily unique views or unique people. Well, Thomas and Chrissy, I really appreciate you being so engaged and involved in this webinar. I'd love to reach out to you offline and get a better understanding of what you're currently doing in terms of just business marketing and specific to social marketing as well. So I'm happy to reach out to you all after the webinar today. If you don't hear from me by end of day today, you can probably expect an email or a phone call from me by tomorrow. I'd love to just chat with you a little bit more, and I really appreciate your time today. I hope that you continue to join the Search Influence University webinars, and we'll continue to share the different topics that we have coming up with us. If you do have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to us. The overall email is just info@searchinfluence.com. We'll be able to get any of your questions that way, and I really appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Thanks, everyone, for joining. Bye.
Bye.